Good morning, everyone. Today's adventure takes us to the Houston Museum of Natural Science. In this video, we're going to show you around all the exhibits, everything there is to see and do at the museum. I go by the legend. That's my wonderful girlfriend, Molly. And let's go check out the museum. Let's kick off the tour at the Hall of Paleontology, which is dinosaurs. So the exhibit begins with the oldest fossils known to man and then works their way through time, including a mock-up of what a trilobite would have looked like. And that is a very interesting looking animal.
They're also called mud bugs, which I guess that makes sense.
As we continue through time, we get to some prehistoric fish creatures. And look at these guys. I do not want to run into that. Kind of nightmare fuel, this thing. They do have a skeleton of this giant prehistoric fish. And we have made it to the age of the dinosaurs. You got a dimahedron here. You do have a skeleton of one over there as well. What I really like, they've got some recreations of what some early amphibians would have looked like.
Which you can definitely tell it was an amphibian.
Yeah, but these guys would have been really, really cool. Especially this one. This looks like something that would hang out with Jabba the Hutt. The skeleton here for an ancient alligator or crocodile type species, the Devonian. Interesting, they were all deaf. This guy here was a plant eater. And looks friendly. It looks like a friendly dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
The skeleton is for a big gorgon, which is one of the earliest saber-toothed animals. Not the famous saber-toothed tiger, that's what I thought when we walked up to it. This one's a very spectacular fossil, probably 20 feet tall. These dinosaurs were found nearby in Texas. Also, I really like when they do this. So they got this picture here that shows what the dinosaurs would look like when they were living. And then for comparison, you've got the skeletons right next to them.
In the same pose.
Yeah. This one, you got a giant crocodile species.
Who was apparently the most heaviest and dangerous carnivore.
Yeah, it was the apex predator of his time in the rivers. And unfortunately, looks like he's going to eat this happier, friendly-looking dinosaur. Underwater dinosaur, this one is the Plesiosaurus, which the museum refers to as a double penguin because it does have a similar structure for flippers.
It does not look like a penguin.
No. It does not look as friendly as a penguin either. But you can see it's got two sets of flippers, like how the penguins would have one set. This guy has two, so that would make it so much faster in the water. Our tours are designed to take you to the early Cretaceous period, and I can assure you that all time rovers have been securely locked on those coordinates. We've now made it into like the big dinosaur room.
Yes.
And it's very impressive with all your kind of like your greatest hits of dinosaurs with the Stegosaurus. And the room is really, really neat. I mean, they have all the dinosaurs you could ask for. They're gigantic.
You kind of get distracted by saying, oh, let's go over here.
Yes.
And you skip some and you have to go back.
But it's very, very cool. I'm really impressed the museum has multiple T-Rexes. I believe this is the largest one over here. And look at the size of the teeth.
These are pretty good looking dudes.
Yeah. Right next to a Triceratops that's also in incredible condition. You got a couple of duck-billed dinosaurs over here. Another T-Rex.
Probably the most impressive ones.
Yeah.
That you don't see at a lot.
No, and you got one up there flying. As you get a third T-Rex, this one's more of a juvenile, I believe. Looking at these giant flying dinosaurs. I'm not even going to try to pronounce their name because it's very complicated. But like, imagine these things flying around the sky. That would be...
I don't want to.
It would be spectacular. Molly, you've been scared of those flying dinosaurs. This thing would have terrified me. As the Tylosaurus was an underwater swimming dinosaur with that kind of jaw.
Yeah.
Now, it wouldn't What wouldn't have frightened me? Giant sea turtle dinosaur. I feel like he would have been much friendlier than this guy.
Sea lizard.
As the exhibit goes on, we are now past the dinosaurs and onto some very interesting animals. Like, you've got a giant bird and this large saber-toothed mammal. And you can see the statue of that saber-toothed mammal there. Very interesting skull. But I like the giant bird.
He was a vegetarian. But she doesn't look like a vegetarian.
No. Well, imagine those little tiny arms you can't do a whole lot with.
T-Rexes.
They had arm problems too. Really like this next one here. Go from the picture. You've got the mastodon creation right there, pretty full. And then behind it, the jaws of a megalodon. Of course, inspiration for the movie The Meg,
Yeah.
which was the world's largest shark that ever lived. Terrifying that a shark would be that big.
And eat an elephant.
Yeah. Incredible tusks here on this one. This was a mammoth, which was an early elephant. This section I like a lot, showing off some of these wild looking mammals. Starting off with this one, there was a giant sloth. And moving over here, Molly, this was one you really liked.
Yeah, it was called a giraffe shorty. But then they realized that it could be ancestors to the copy.
Which, if you look at it, it definitely looks like that.
Kind of like a copy.
Mm-hmm. Then over here, you do have a saber-toothed tiger and a giant bear. This one here was an ancient cousin of the armadillo, and then another saber-toothed cat. You do have a giant mastodon over here, and a human having a bad day.
Getting thrown off.
Really, really enjoyed the dinosaur museum here.
Yes. This room was
this
amazing.
exhibit, just fantastic. Their collection of species, really, really cool. I love how they did it as you went through, like, the earliest known animals through pretty much to when humans popped up.
I like how they had the picture of what it looks like in front of the skeleton.
Our next stop is the Hall of Ancient Egypt. And the Hall of Ancient Egypt is exactly what you think it would be. Lots of artifacts from ancient Egyptian times. It is fascinating how some of the stuff is in such good condition. This is a sculpt of Ramses II. I really can't get over how good shape a lot of these artifacts are in. I mean, these look like something that you could buy from a gift shop right now, but they're actually 4,000 years old. Also, the museum here does a great job with all of its exhibits and presentations. Everything's, really, really well lit.
The signage.
Yeah, it tells you a lot of information about them. Now, when you think of ancient Egypt, the first thing that probably comes to mind is mummification, and that's what this next section is. You've got sarcophaguses, beautiful, detailed sarcophaguses. These jars here were the ones that, when you would mummify somebody, their internal organs would go in these jars.
Take the brain out through the nose.
Yeah, stuff like that. Oh, wow.
Very detailed.
Yeah. And this was a coffin, an insanely detailed coffin.
And then,
of course, a mummy themselves. You do have another room with a bunch more of sarcophaguses and mummies in it. This one's labeled Giant Coffin with Green Face. Much larger than the other ones on display here. Here you can see the coffin opened up with the mummy inside. I will say this stuff a little on the creepy side. Obviously it is ancient history, but you know, it is a little heebie-jeebies. I also really enjoy how these are displayed. There's a mirror down below so that you can see what like the underside design looked like. On the 4th floor is the Weiss Energy Hall, which feels like a very modern exhibit. Now inside the exhibit, all different types of energies presented. I'm assuming this is a relatively new exhibit. And look at this. Showing off some sort of big drilling machine. As a very large, multiple part moving robot. Now, I'm guessing whatever the GeoBaiter was, or is, I probably would enjoy it. If you know what this is, let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, this exhibit's really neat.
Which was once the floor of the ocean, teeming with life. How do we decide where to drill for oil and natural gas? It's not easy. In the old days,
The exhibit is pretty neat. Now, one bummer, based on the ongoing global health situation, a lot of the interactives are all turned off throughout the entire museum, which does hurt this exhibit in particular. Another show type thing, the EFX 3000 is closed. Again, if you know what that is, let me know in the comment section below. And look at this. Space car kind of thing. You have a very large display here for something called Energy City. And I mean, this is probably 100 feet long. It utilizes projection mapping technology. It looks like the sun is going down. You sit down, there are benches here. They do tell you all about different types of energy. We just learned all about hydroelectric energy.
It's really cool.
Oh, yeah. And if you do watch it for a while, there are little Easter eggs. We saw an alien abduct someone and a dinosaur wander by.
Now,
And now playing. There was like a car jumping over there. So there's definitely a lot of detail built into this exhibit. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but there are marbles that move around.
so they do have one that's working. It's a touchless experience
It's like I'm Tony Stark.
where he's guiding the... I don't know what you're guiding.
I'm learning how a generator works.
Oh, a generator. Okay, very cool.
This room here has a giant Earth, probably 50 feet in diameter there. By the giant Earth, you also have this very large black marlin. This giant pendulum does move throughout the day as the Earth goes around and it knocks over the things. This exhibit here is under construction. But look at the rotating dinosaur skull. How cool is that? It looks like a T-Rex as well. This exhibit here is all about Texas wildlife. And in this exhibit here, you do get a lot of taxidermy type animals, including that alligator who's eating a wild boar. A lot of different animals here in Texas. So in addition to the taxidermy animals, you do have some that have like animatronic features, like this little skunk here, who moves his tail. Here you can see a woodpecker. Pretty neat animatronic character. Some different degrees of motion. And then I think, yep, then he does this woodpecker thing. This animatronic character kind of frightened me, as I'm not the biggest fan of snakes.
But it's cool how he raised it up.
Yeah. This exhibit is all African animals, I believe. I will say I'm never the biggest fan of exhibits like this. Like when I can see these animals in real life, I feel kind of weird seeing them all taxidermied. They are presented very well though. The Hall of Mammalogy is all about like coral and shells. They're presented really nicely. And yeah.
Some of them are really pretty.
Yeah. It's the kind of thing like you could probably breeze through this in 3 minutes, or you could be here for 3 hours if you want to read everything. This exhibit is home to the world's largest gastropod shells.
They're pretty big.
Yeah. And that giant pendulum, you could view it from like every level of the museum too, which makes it kind of neat. Kind of trippy from this angle. The second floor, you do have the Hall of Gems and Minerals. This is the Cabinet of Curiosities, or a lovely room of death. They are currently fixing up the Hall of the Americas. As you can see, a very heavy renovation going on. Should be pretty cool whenever it's done. So there are 3 different traveling exhibitions here at the museum that do cost extra. The first is this Body Worlds, and they're expensive. Like, to get into the museum is $25, but if you want to go to any of the special exhibits, they're $30 each. Another one of the temporary exhibits is, an upcharge exhibits, is Pompeii, the exhibition. Molly and I, we actually did see this when it was in Orlando. It was okay. I wouldn't pay $30 for it. It had a really cool movie at the beginning, but it was not really the stuff you wanted to see from Pompeii. It was mostly like how that city lived and like day-to-day life instead of the volcano stuff. The third temporary upcharge exhibit is Death by Natural Causes. Out of the 3 that the museum has right now, that seemed the most interesting to me. The museum does have a snack bar type area. Man, those doors are loud. But it's the wonderfully named periodic table. One permanent upcharge attraction here is the Butterfly Center. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can see into it over here, and it's a very large greenhouse type building. There are 2 movie theater type experiences that you could do for a couple of bucks. I think they're like $6 to $8 each. You've got a planetarium one that runs about every hour. Some interesting stuff. Like, I would totally go see the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon experience. Lamps of Atlantis could be neat as well. They're running one, a space-based one with Tom Hanks recording. They also have a giant screen IMAX theater that's unfortunately closed for our visit today. And that'll do it for our time at the Houston Museum of Natural Sciences. I enjoyed it. We were there for about 2 hours or so. The museum does cost $25 to get into. We're doing the Houston City Pass during our time here in town, and it's included with that. The highlight for me was definitely the dinosaurs. The dinosaur exhibit was so well done, and their collection was really great.
I like the ancient Egyptian.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, another.
It was a massive exhibit.
Yep.
Everything was very, very well kept.
And then you had that energy exhibit, which obviously hurt a little bit because of the interactives being turned off, but that felt like very different than everything else in the museum, and very, very modern. Now I'll give you a heads up, it does kind of feel like this attraction does kind of nickel and dime you as you go, because you got that $25 ticket gets you into everything that we showed off here, but you also have a lot of upcharge stuff between the movies, the special exhibits, the butterfly pavilion. I think when I did the math, if you wanted to see everything in the museum, like the 3 special exhibits, the 2 movies, the regular museum, and the butterflies, it would cost you $148.
That is a lot of money.
I mean, that's a pretty penny right there. Obviously, if there's something you're really interested in, I pick and choose. But man, that's a lot of cash. Would have liked to come back. I would have liked to see the Dark Side of the Moon planetarium show. That could have been fun.
I mean, I'm good coming back with that dinosaur exhibit.
Yeah. All right, guys, that'll do it for our time at the museum. If you got any questions about the Museum of Natural Science here in Houston, let me know in the comment section below, and thank you very much for watching this video.